Shabbat Shalom, good evening everybody, both here at Temple Beth in the sanctuary, welcome, and those guys who joined us at home. Thanks for tuning in and sharing services tonight with us. This Shabbat is special on many levels. We have several things going on. This week is Shabbat, where we read portion Beshalach, which has the Song of the Sea, the crossing of the Israelites through the waters of the Sea of Reeds. Hence it also got the name of Shabbat Shirah, the Shabbat of Song. And, as our professional in song, Cantor will be leading us today in many special tunes, as well as in a sermon and song later on. Looking forward to that already. And number two, the Shabbat is also Shabbat Tzedek, Shabbat of righteousness, which is a Shabbat that the Reform movement instituted right on the weekend of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And this is to honor his memory and the ongoing fight for racial equality in this country. So we are also going to including a lot of special readings along the service honoring the memory of Reverend King. But kicking us off is Cantor with...
We're going to begin with a nigun Mazel Tov, which is sung at weddings, and we invite you to join with us. Clap, sing, dance, and here we go. Ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
All right. I just want to do the horror now.
I
was
know.
Like, wow. All right. And as a welcoming Shabbat, we're about to light the Shabbat candles. The readings are on pages 2 and 3 of your Siddur. And for the honor of lighting the candles, we'd like to invite our Rabbi Emeritus, Bruce Cadden, and also Susanna Ritter, who are joining us tonight virtually.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah
Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to light the Shabbat candles.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Thank
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
And kicking us off on our Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming in Shabbat in Psalms of Song, we turn to page 344 for Shir Chadash, sing unto Adonai, to God, a new song.
We always are singing new songs, even when we sing our regular melodies, they're always new because we do them differently every time we sing them. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shir l'Adonai, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai. Shiru l'Adonai. Shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
As we turn to page 14, back to the main part of our service on the front for Kabbalat Shabbat. And this is going to be Yismechu Hashamayim, the heavens rejoice, and the earth may be glad too.
Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Second line. Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yeram hayam, yeram hayam, yeram hayam umelo. 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 Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz.
That we turn to page 20 for Lechadodi, our hymn, our welcome song for the Shabbat bride, pages 20 and 21. And we're going to be doing stanzas 1, 2, 5, and the last one. For the last one, as our minhag, going to rise facing the door. For the folks at home, wherever Shabbat bride may enter into your homestead.
And you've heard contemporary melodies, you've heard a Hasidic melody, and now a Sephardic style melody. Lecha dodi ligerat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi ligerat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי אורי אורי, שדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה, בואי ושלום עטרת פניו, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Please have a seat. We are on page 26 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ויעמד יברך חילותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ויומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם ועולמי. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשם. בריחו לעילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
After participating in the Civil Rights March in Selma, Alabama, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, one of the century's great philosophers and close colleague to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., said, "I felt as if my feet were praying." Prayer is not just the communication we have with God. It is also the work we do to make God's values real to the world. I think God listens to both kinds of prayer with equal joy. Rabbi David Saperstein, director of the Religion Action Center of Reform Judaism in Washington. You rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. As we get to our feet, starting to pray, on page 28, please rise as you're able. The folks at home, please do as well, facing east from your direction.
את אדוני המבורך.
Turn to page 30, read together, Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, b'chokhma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליב את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Turn to page 32 for Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני שמו. אוהב עמו ישראל, שמו ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Have a seat. Join together in chanting the Ve'ahavta. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your soul, with all your might. On page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at a table in brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a desert state, sweltering with the heat of injustice and oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., August 28, 1963. So you're about to embark on the Song of the Sea, which is on page 40. If you want to hold your hand in there. We're also going to be adding a section before it, Miriam's song. So combining both the Song of Moses and the Song of Miriam. This is on the back of the book. You want to turn there to its page 342. And after that, we're going to turn to right to me from on page 40. So keep your finger in the middle as we're turning over there.
Join with us. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. As Miriam stood upon the shore, she gazed across the seas. The wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced, danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'ela b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Malechutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'eli anu ve'amru, ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai Yifad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
On page 43, we're going to be doing a creative version of the Hashkivenu prayer, asking God to let us lie down in peace at night, and also live in a world that is at peace, not only at night, but all the time. Page 43 on the top.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship find your shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Ve'hamidenu l'shaynu l'chayis. Ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, haporei sukkot shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
That we turn to page 44, we're going to be joining together for Yismechu on the bottom. Also keep Shabbat, calling it a delight to rejoice in your realm.
Again, another Sephardic Spanish sort of flair. Even though this composer was not Spanish, it's a wonderful, wonderful melody. Yismechu v'malechotecha, Yismechu v'malechotecha, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu, try with us. Yismechu v'malechotecha, Yismechu v'malechotecha, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg, oneg Shabbat. Mekadesh Shevi, Mekadesh Shevi Shabbat. Kolam yesbe'o ve'yitango mitovecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechotecha, Yismechu v'malechotecha, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg, oneg Shabbat. Ve'hashkivenu, רצית בו וקידשתו שבת חמדת ימים אותו קראת השבת ישמחו במלכותיך ישמחו במלכותיך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג שבת זכר למעשה בראשית זכר למעשה בראשית שבת זכר למעשה בראשית שבת ישמחו במלכותיך ישמחו שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
All right. With this, we turn to page 46 as we move into the Amidah, the standing prayer. And please rise as you're able. Folks at home, please do as well, if you can, facing east from your direction.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot U'mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'Ezras Sarah Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia Mashiv haroach Umorid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakom berachamim rabim, somech noflim berofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech melit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lechayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Please have a seat. We're on page 55 and read in the middle. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not our Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. The bottom of page 57, we join together as well. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha v'yir'ah na'avod. And for our prayer of thanksgiving, the Modim, which is on page 58, it's become our minhag here as well. Thinking about some of the things we are grateful for in our lives, particularly at this point. We just entered a new year. What are some of the simchas, the smachot, the happiness, pieces of happiness that were happening to you guys this year, this week, or that are upcoming? Just anything you want to share, please feel free to do so. Anything to be grateful for these days? Grateful for your nieces, wonderful. Yes. Anybody else has something beautiful to share? Again, the folks at home as well, please feel free to put it in the chat. And again, we're a smaller crowd today. It's pretty, grateful everybody made it here safely, and we also have a safe journey home. It's been pretty foggy out there. So homework, make something wonderful happen over the next week. Come back and tell us all about it.
What are you thankful for this week?
This week, a lot was going on. I had a lovely lunch with a friend yesterday. We were talking for quite some time, and a lot of beautiful insights. So I'm grateful for that.
Nice.
How about you, Cantor?
I am thankful for a good book because I got to have a little reading on Kindle the other day, a little mystery. It was actually very relaxing in this continued time of COVID.
Wonderful. And all these things to be grateful for on the bottom of the page 58. Let's join together on the Fatima, the closing line. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you're worthy of thanksgiving. Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace, on page 60. Let's join together.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim. Atah Melech Adon Levol HaShalom. Ki atah Melech Adon Levol HaShalom. V'tov לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. המברך את עמו ישראל על שלום.
Take a moment of silence now for the prayers of our heart. Feel free to use the readings on page 62, 63 if you would like, or just listen to the voice within you, and we come back in a moment afterwards.
At the bottom of page 62. Shalom b'roma, hoyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru Shalom imroma, hoyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
So on this Shabbat Shira, this Shabbat of song, Moses' Song of the Sea will be chanted tomorrow. And across the country, cantors are offering some music, different styles of music, or sharing things that they might find, that their congregants might find interesting. And so I am pleased to do so this evening, beginning this way. Baruch atah Adoshem Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, ruler of the world, who has made us holy and commanded us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. I wanted this evening to turn to the first blessing that we say on Friday night in our sanctuary, this blessing for the lighting of the candles. So a little information about this prayer. This tradition began, this kindling of light, is first mentioned in post-biblical literature around 200 BCE up through 700 CE. And initially, the Sabbath light was lit for very prosaic reasons, to make light for those who were eating for Shabbat in the evening, so that they would not have to spend the evening in total darkness. By the 2nd century CE, the Mishnah assumes that Shabbat begins with the kindling of lights using particular wicks and oil and later candles. So who lights the candles and when? The lighting is based traditionally on the time of sunset, so it changes throughout the year. It's interesting to note that the times printed in many calendars, Jewish calendars, are actually 18 minutes early and is based on the ideal of Bein Hashmashot, or the time designated between the astrological sunset and the appearance of 3 stars, so that the candles are sure to be lit before sunset. The tradition to light them at home is given to the woman, and it is done so as an honor because the men would still be in synagogue as they're obligated to be praying at the shul, where women are not. This is traditional Judaism, and to welcome Shabbat. However, if there's no woman in the home, or a male is traveling, or there are 2 males in the home, like my husband and I, we're also obligated to light Shabbat candles. So why a minimum of 2 candles? So the 2 candles represent 2 different words in the Shabbat 10 commandments that you're found, one in Exodus and one in Deuteronomy. The word zachor, to remember the Sabbath, and the word shamor, to observe the Sabbath. And now finally, the big question, why do we cover our eyes? For the answer, we have to look at how we say a Jewish prayer in general. So take wine, for example. You first say the blessing, and then you do the act of drinking it, right? But for Shabbat candles, it gets more complicated, because if you said the blessing and then you lit the candles, you'll be breaking Sabbath because you've already said the blessing and it's Shabbat and you can't light candles. So what has been come up with is that you sort of pretend, you light the candles, you cover your eyes, you say the blessing, you open your eyes, and behold, the candles are lit. And that's how it's done. Confusing, yes, but nevertheless, a tradition. So I collected a few different melodies for lighting the Shabbat candles. Note that the compositions are in chronological order by when they were written, and the melodies developed as people came to Friday night services to see the candles lit rather than lighting them at home, so they're pretty contemporary. So the first one, our traditional candle blessing, is written by Abraham Wolf-Binder, and he was born in New York City. He was a composer of liturgical music in Hebrew and in Yiddish, and was the music director of the great Stephen Wise Synagogue in New York City, big, big synagogue. Binder was also the editor of the 3rd edition of the Union Hymnal. Remember, we had a hymnal that went with our prayer book, which might be considered his most indelible legacy and his most profound composition. Before Binder's work on the hymnal, it was largely second-rate hymns, mostly in English, and were adapted from non-Jewish sources like opera, classical lieder, oratorio, and Western folk song, but he brought in the music of the Eastern and Western Jewish Ashkenazi traditions. And he also included melodies that were being done at the time in Europe by greats such as Salman Zaltzer, Louis Lewandowski, and Samuel Naumburg. So here's the first one. You know this one, so sing it with me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. has such a beautiful lullaby type version, but not all of them will sound like that tonight. Next, we have Harry Coopersmith, who was born in 1902. He died in 1975. And he is known for many things. One is that his tune, Yisrael ve'oraita, which is Yisrael ve'oraita ve'kodesh ha'berichu chadhu, it's done in our Torah services often, was introduced widely as a Jewish melody in a Christian hymnal. He also was the music director in Chicago of the Chicago Bureau of Jewish Education and Anshe Emet Synagogue, an Orthodox synagogue. But then he also wrote the first union songster. He was very involved in children and youth, and his music was all put into a book, and that was in the 1950s. Now, this melody that he wrote has a 6/8 time. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's very light and it's happy and it repeats itself. And also note that listen to the piano, which we have kind of melodies back and forth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Different, huh? Our next one is by Sol Zim. Sol Zim was born in 1939, and he's a descendant of 5 generations of cantors. He was a conservative cantor, and his compositions are endless. He wrote over 100 different melodies, and his melody was written in the mid-20th century, around 1960, and along with the Binder one is one that is used and is most popular among candle blessings. So listen to this one. And this is one I used at my previous congregation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. If you like that, I'll start using it a little here too, because it's nice to have a different melody every now and then. The next one is by Jack Gottlieb. Jack Gottlieb was born in 1911 in New Rochelle, New York, and he died in 2011. He worked in New York City, and he studied with Max Helfman, who was a great Jewish composer out in California, as well as composers Irving Fine and Leonard Bernstein. And between 1970 and 1973, he was the music director of Temple Israel in St. Louis. And he wrote during those years 3 short candle blessings, 3 individual different ones to honor women. And he was also a reference that I had when I was working on my thesis on Leonard Bernstein when I was in seminary. And he gave generously information about Leonard Bernstein that I would not have known that wasn't in books, especially because he had studied with him. And so this is his version of a candle blessing. And you'll note that there's actual speaking of words over the music, a blessing. So this has kind of everything in it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik shel Shabbat. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath joy. Amen. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath holiness. Amen. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath peace. I like that one. I know it sounds a little strange, right? He was a little strange. His music was beautiful, beautiful. He has 2 books of compositions that I have. Finally, another person. So this is Paul Allen Levi, was born in 1941. And Levi composes in a variety of styles and genres. He doesn't like to be pinned down. And his vocal works and choral works are notable for real good projection of text. And you've noticed, I think, as I've sung these, that they're set so that the text makes sense. Even if you don't know the words, you can tell that syllabically, it's all in the right place. And a lot of composers do not do that. And so it's quite interesting to hear the different styles. His friend, Mark Lipson, Cantor Lipson, was ordained in 78 and became a rabbi in 95, and he worked in Norfolk, Connecticut. He lives in the jazz world. So this is their composition, a combined composition of the 2 of them. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Amen. Raymond Smoliver, born in 1921, he died in 2015, and he began his 44-year tenure as cantor and music director of the Jewish Community Center congregation Kol Ami in White Plains, New York. And in the 50s, Cantor Smoliver founded and directed the Opera Theater of Westchester, which commissioned and produced 6 Jewish operas, all with his own libretti, set to the music of some of the great Jewish composers, Frederick Pickett, Robert Strasberg, Lazar Weiner, Siegfried Landau, and Charles Davidson. Cantor Smoliver also sang leading tenor roles with New York City Opera and New England Opera Theater at Tanglewood and at the Berkshire Mountain Music Festival. And in the late 60s and 70s, more than 50 albums of new American Jewish synagogue music was published. Let me say that again. In the 60s and 70s, more than 50 albums of new American Jewish music was released. These drew on the sounds of folk, of rock music, and they represented a shift from cantorial styles like Nusach and Chazanut towards more participatory forms of singing prayers. This one has both Hebrew and English texts, it's chant-like, and it concludes with a threefold blessing for Shabbat. Come, let us welcome the Sabbath. May its radiance illumine our hearts as we kindle these candles for Sabbath. May the warmth of our grove peace impart. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. May the Lord bless you with Sabbath joy. May the Lord bless you with Sabbath holiness. May the Lord bless you with Sabbath peace. Next, we hear some more contemporary ones, two more. So we hear the Jewish movie music maker, Cantor Michael Isaacson. He was born in 1946, and he received his master's in composition from Brooklyn College, and he holds a PhD in composition from my alma mater, the Eastman School of Music, where he studied composition with wonderful Jewish composer, Sam Adler. After he moved to Los Angeles in '76, he composed and arranged for television and film and was commissioned by several local congregations to produce original synagogue works. He also conducted and has produced by himself more than 50 CDs of symphonic, chamber, and choral music, including all the permanent exhibit symphonic music for New York City's Museum of Jewish Heritage. This setting is from a whole service that he wrote called Hegyon Libi, or the Meditations of My Heart. And it was written in the 80s, and it has kind of a Hollywood twist, including a dialogue track in the background that is turned on, and also ends with a threefold blessing. Come, let us welcome the Sabbath. May its radiance illumine our hearts as we kindle these tapers. Light is the symbol of the divine. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Light is the symbol of the divine in man. The spirit of man is the light of the Lord. Light is the symbol of the divine law. For the commandment is a lamp and the law is a light. Light is the symbol of Israel's mission. I, the Lord, have set thee for a covenant of the people, for a light unto the nations. Therefore, in the spirit of our ancient tradition that unites Israel in all lands and all ages, do we now kindle the Sabbath lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by the laws and commanded us to kindle the Sabbath light. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath joy. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath holiness. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath peace. Amen. Different, huh? And finally, we're going to conclude with one from a professor of mine, Cantor Benji Ellen Schiller. She serves as professor of liturgy, worship, ritual, and cantorial arts at the Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music. Whew. I had the privilege of working with her. She was my recital advisor for my project. We wrote a thesis and then also did a recital for our ordination. And this piece was written, she's written many compositions. She wrote Hallelujah, which our choir has sung. She has written beautiful pieces called Lamdeni and Ukratem Dor, which is a proclaim liberty piece that was written during the response to 9/11. She's written endless commissioned works. She just finished having a solo recording called A World Fulfilled. That was in 2002. And she has in 2019 a new book called Azam Ra, Songs of Benji Ellen Schiller. And this is one that comes from that. And this is just a little kavanah, a little preparation before you light the candles. It goes like this. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. May these trembling flames, the flames of our soul, and the warm glow kindle this night by the children of Israel fuse, fuse, fuse in the light of your presence. I hope you have enjoyed learning a little bit about these different composers, their styles and interpretations. We become so attached to our melodies, how amazing it is to learn that we can add to our melodies throughout our lives. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Very big Yasher Koach to Cantor for sharing this beautiful teaching and very enlightening sermon and song. It's really interesting also to learn pretty much how small the Jewish world is. Rabbi Mark Lipson, one of the composers, I was his intern while I was in Connecticut in Norwalk in the community. Paul Levy, actually I stayed at his and his wife's house, when I was, over there, lovely people and very talented. So it's really amazing to hear pretty much, how it all comes together. So Yasher Koach once more, thank you so much for sharing all this. And speaking of good news, announcements, our president, Aaron Peterson, would like to share those with us. Aaron.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining us, whether you're here in person or at home, and I hope you enjoyed that as thoroughly as I did. It's always, like I said, it's always interesting to hear not only the history of the tunes we sing and how it's like that had to have been hundreds and hundreds of years. It's like, nope, 1970s or something, you know. And then just to hear these other tunes, I hope that we do bring some of those. There were some I really enjoyed, so I hope you enjoyed them too. But again, thank you to everybody who made, thank you to everyone who made tonight possible. Of course, Rabbi, Cantor, and those kind of behind the scenes. For those who walked in, you were greeted by Manny and Sean, of course, providing the security out there. We can't forget them. And we did at least make it a little warmer out there for tonight than the cold they had. And then, of course, Jordan back there at the soundboard helping with the sound. And Randy Leeson, kind of always there helping out with the as a service supporter, checking people in. So thank you to all of them. The important thing we'll announce every time is the events. I'll talk about a few, but there's a whole lot more that I won't necessarily mention. The full list can always be found. The kind of 3 main spots you're going to find these Shabbat Shalom email that's sent every Thursday. Also on the website, kind of keep an online calendar with a lot of these things, and the bulletin, and that's sent out once a month. Now, if you don't get the bulletin or the Shabbat Shalom, make sure to email or call the office, and they will make sure to get that to you. The other thing is those are also found on the, if you forgot, can't seem to find that email, it is also found on the website. I think it's called Shabbat Shalom. You can actually find that on the website. But so into the events, as always, Saturday will continue tomorrow with services and Torah study. Saturday Shabbat will conclude with Havdalah. Those are all on Zoom. Pretty cool. Religious school will be gathering for Tu B'Shvat at Snake Lake in Tacoma on Sunday at 10 a.m. Sisterhood, rather than list them all, go see the Shabbat Shalom email, but they have quite a few events coming up for Sisterhood members. And then on Wednesday afternoons, kind of a neat one, starting in February, there will be a social gathering called Stitch and Fetch, where you can bring your various stitching or knitting projects to the social hall. Kind of a great way to ease back into that socializing. First of all, kind of moving on to other announcements, I'd like to thank everyone who is given to the Shir Hadash, the new music fundraiser that we have kicked off. And if you have not done so and you'd like to help, please check the website or call the office on how to do that. Let's see, the kind of community announcements, really kind of a neat one that caught my eye when I was reading the Shabbat Shalom was the Heal the Heart of Tacoma effort that's being going on. This was through resolution by the mayor, but it's a city-led effort to transform the communities and institutions of Tacoma to be anti-racist and just. And they're currently welcoming applicants for transformation in various areas. Rabbi Emeritus Cadden is a member of the core coordinating team, and he can answer any questions you might have. But the Shabbat Shalom has a link on how to register or Rabbi Cadden's email. Also, an important thing to remember is that adult education classes begin the first week of February, and a list of the classes can be found on the website as well, how to register. In closing, as always, if you need help or if you know anybody who needs help or are willing to help those in need, please contact Temple clergy, leadership, staff, but please stay safe and please stay healthy. Shabbat Shalom. Sorry about the feedback.
Thank you.
And I'll get away from that feedback.
In the midst of our Shabbat rest, we also take a moment to think of those who need of healing, body, mind, and soul. Is anybody of whom you're thinking, in a moment I'm going to go around the sanctuary. If you want to share the names out loud or in your hearts, please feel free to do so. Folks at home, if you want to share those names in the chat, that's another option for you that you can do.
I'm thinking of hospital workers, those who help in the rooms, those doctors, those nurses, as hospitals are filling up again. I'm also thinking of teachers, especially teachers and children. I have a friend in Massachusetts, which is very challenging. And so I'm thinking of them on this Shabbat.
Rabbi Sarah Mark. For them, we're about to recite the Mishiberach, our plea to God for healing. And this is on page 253 in the middle. Let's join together for this.
Mishiberach, the source of strength. Oh, bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu nekor abraham le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Or to read the Aleinu on page 282 and 287. If you want to please rise for that, as you're about to open the ark. Same for folks at home, if you're able to do so, facing east.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latei gedola leotze breshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please have a seat. As we prepare for the Kaddish, one more reading. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hate multiplies hate. Violence multiplies violence. And toughness multiplies toughness in a descending spiral of destruction. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., 1963. As we're about to also name those of our community on this Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Weekend, we also remember all of those, including Dr. King, who lost their lives in the struggle for civil rights and the fight for a better world. And from our community, first those who are in the period of Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning, those please rise if you want to rise at home as well. And we commemorate from our community John Levine, the brother of Cantor Fine, and also Linda Klein, the wife of Leonard Klein, whose funeral was just the other day. And we're also thinking of the Greenblatt family, on the loss of Sarah Greenblatt. Arthur and Sarah Greenblatt and the children were members here at TBE in the 50s and 60s, and their service in Shiva took place yesterday. To all them, we extend our traditional words of consolation. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch she'ahavei Tzion b'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. Next, those who are commemorating the Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of the loved one. please rise at this moment at home as well. From our community, we commemorate the following: Leonard Alanik, Michael Beakey, Georgine Bernhardt, Lynn Ellen Biller, Meyer Block, Abra Sandra Silas, Camelo Di Quattro, Jeanette Rifkin-Dushin, Barbary Duthie, Ada Forstner, Jesse Feist, Al Glickman, David Goldstein, Murray Garland, Jerome Gorkin, Morris Jaffe, Maurice Joseph, Bimsy Kirkpatrick, Dave Klickman, Judah Klein, Morris Kleiner, Esther Cozen, Robert Leifson, Michael Murphy, Eugene Ogolsky, Frederick E. Pargeter, Ruth Reckles, Robert Rosen, W. John Sinsheimer, Beatrice Sklar, Louise Tausend, Geisia Tunick, Joyce Umberhocker, Harris Warnick, and Marion Winston. Is anybody else of whom you're thinking at this time in season? Please feel free to share their names if they have not been mentioned yet or in the chat. Together, we're about to rise as a community as we're about to recite the Monas Kaddish on page 294. Let's join together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabba ve'alma divrach chirotei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach pa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh Vitada, Vitale, Vitalal, Shmei de Kudusha, Brichu, Leela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. V'aseh shalom b'imromav, u'yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam levracha. May their memory be a blessing. Please have a seat. All right, once more again, thanks to everybody who had part in the service today and making this happen. Also, all of you who joined us in person or at home. Special thank you to Cantor for sharing sermon and song and the all extra musical pieces that we have on the Shabbat of Song. Of course, also Debbie, who made these beautiful accompaniments for those as well. So thank you guys. And as a closing song, you have an Oseh Shalom that you would like to want to say a few words about this one.
We're going to conclude with an Oseh Shalom. You've had the opportunity to hear contemporary, very contemporary music, some contemporary music, folk music, Sephardic music, Hasidic music, and we're going to end with sort of a gospel style Oseh Shalom that was written for a Chicago inner city youth choir. And we got to sing it actually with that choir. The American Conference of Cantors went to Chicago, and it was amazing. They really let go, and we were trying to keep up with them, and it was just beautiful. And the melodies are really, really fun. So feel free to dance. Feel free to clap your hands and stomp your feet as we join together. So let's rise as we sing Oseh Shalom. It's on page 343, the second paragraph from the bottom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom Imroma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Imroma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Imroma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Clap with me. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. One last thing, Kiddush and Motzi, page 5. Folks at home, if you want to get your Kiddush cups ready, please feel free to do so. We join together, it's on page 5 for those who want to follow up with the text. Sure.
There we go. There we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei beri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maaseh bereshit Ihu yom techilah lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidasha mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshcha ve'ava v'ratzon inchautanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat l'chaim.
Hi. And for the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Thank you for
everybody.
coming and good to see everyone online.
Wow.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thanks, everybody.
Mm.
And there's Chala on your way out on the bench.